Just to show you real quick what happens when we use our P2S to heat the bed up to 95 degrees Celsius. You can see it immediately shows an output of around 1,000 watts.
We've got AC power going to these outlets. See it down here as the heat bed is heating up to 60 degrees and the nozzle to 140. We're currently at 330 watts.
And then we take the 15-foot or 5-meter power cable and plug it into the last solar panel, and we can run that over to our Jackery power station.
We started out at 56%. We're now at 73%. Today we're taking a look at the Jackery Explorer 5000 Plus. It is one of their biggest home backup systems, but I think it also got some uses for us in the 3D print farm. Let's dive right into it. Before we get started diving into how I think this is going to be useful here in my print farm, I want to talk a little bit about some of the specifications that come with the Explorer 5000 Plus. The Explorer 5000 Plus has up to 7,200 watts of continuous output, or 14,400 watts of peak load, which means you can power a ton of stuff off of this system, and it weighs a lot too, so it's a good thing it comes with wheels.
The Explorer 5000 Plus can be expanded to 60 kilowatts, which means you can run your entire home or charge your EV for days. And an Explorer 5000 Plus using the full 60 kilowatt system can help high energy households and electric vehicle owners save up to $11,800 per year. You can also use smart charging schedules to charge the unit during off-peak hours and draw on the stored power when the rates are the highest. Here in Vermont, we pay a pretty ridiculous almost 22 cents per kilowatt hour for electricity. Now, I average around $280 to $300 per month for my home and print farm. There are months, especially during the winter, where I'm paying $360, $370, and I even saw one this year, almost $430. Ouch. The Explorer 5000 Plus features 4 120 volt, 20 amp AC powered circuits on the front of the machine. It also has 2 USB-C ports and 2 USB-A ports, as well as a 12 volt adapter like you'd find in your car. On the left side of the machine, you'll find an AC expansion port, 120 or 240 volt, 30 amp RV style hookup, as well as a 30 amp 1450R style hookup. Now the plug is rated for 50 amps, but it does show 30 amps on the side, so my guess is the breaker inside of there that is powering that is limited at 30 amps. Like I mentioned, on the front, we've got 2 100 watt USB-C ports, 2 18 watt USB-A ports, as well as a 12 volt DC output like you'll find in your car. On the right side of the machine, we have our DC input for all of our solar charging, as well as 120 volt outlets that we use to charge the unit if we want to plug it in inside our shop. We've got ports for low voltage as well as high voltage solar charging. Powering on the unit with the power button, we can also power on all of the USB ports by pressing the USB button. Turning on the AC outlets is the same. You press the AC button, make sure the light is green, and that'll activate all 4 of those outlets. And the same goes for our 12 volt DC outlet. Now this machine has a UPS battery backup with a 0 millisecond lag, so all you have to do is press and hold the AC and the DC power button for about 5 seconds, and that will activate 3,200 watts of 0 millisecond UPS battery backup. And of course, we've also got 2 bags, each holding 500 watts of solar panels. We will take a look at that in a little bit after running some tests. And just to show you real quick what happens when we use our P2S to heat the bed up to 95 degrees Celsius and have it plugged into the Explorer 5000 Plus. You can see it immediately shows an output of around 1,000 watts, as well as giving us a countdown of how many hours we could run at that wattage level. Now, this is just heating the bed up, so after the printer has stabilized, we should be looking at somewhere around 27 hours running at about 150 watts. And we'll see that in a little bit on the Elegoo Centauri Carbon 2 when we go to run some prints.
Now we'll take a look at the solar charging when it's not raining outside. That seems to be the weather up here in New England. For now though, let's hook it up to a printer and kind of see how this thing is useful here in my print farm. Not only is it useful as a UPS battery backup if the power should go out, but it's also useful to just running your printers during your day-to-day operations. Because it has such a large capacity, you could actually run multiple jobs off of a single charge without having to worry about losing power. So we're going to get the Elegoo Centauri Carbon 2 hooked up to the Explorer 5000 Plus and start a job. Now, like I showed before over on the P2S, it's got a live output, so you can see exactly how much wattage you're using, and you can see how long the system is going to last if you were continuously using that output. Now, most printers typically run in the 200 to 300 watts during their actual printing process. A lot of them, like the A1 Minis, are only around 100 watts because the bed is so small it doesn't have to maintain such a large surface area. All right, enough yip yap from me. I'm going to get the Centauri Carbon 2 moved over here onto our table. I'm going to wheel over the Explorer 5000 and hook it up, see exactly how much wattage this thing draws. We're going to start a print job, and we're going to see how many of them we could actually get accomplished with a full battery pack. So we've got our Centauri Carbon 2 set up over here on the workbench. We've got the Explorer 5000 Plus rolled over here, and we are not hooked into anything right now. As you can see, we are at 100% charge. Obviously, we're not outputting anything at the given moment. Plug this in, and like I mentioned before during the tech specs, each of these 120 volt outlets has its own 20 amp breaker, which means even when starting multiple printers that all have something like 900 or 1,000 watts when it's first heating up the bed, like the P2S and the H2C do, we aren't going to worry about tripping anything over here. So what I'm going to do first, if it's not already on, I'm going to press the AC button. So we've got AC power going to these outlets, and you can see we're all set up and ready to go there. Just turned the Centauri Carbon 2 on. As you can see, the screen is currently lighting up there. And so far it's drawing so little power that we don't even have a reading on the output. All right, the screen is on, we're all booted up. So let's find a job, send it on over to the printer, and see how many of those specific jobs we could get going and run off of this guy. After the jobs are finished, we are going to plug it into solar and see how long it takes for this thing to recharge from whatever percentage we end up on to 100% just using the solar panels. So we're going to print this guy out. We're close enough to Easter. I figured why not. 5 hours and 51 minutes, 151 grams total waste. I'm going to set this up a little bit differently though. And this is what we're going to send on to the printer. All right, so as the printer's starting, the output is currently bumped up to 350, 400 watts. You can see it down here as the heat bed is heating up to 60 degrees and the nozzle to 140. We're currently at 330 watts, but it is fluctuating back and forth a little bit. Again, this will settle out after the nozzle reaches temperature and after the bed reaches temperature. But this is about what you could expect if you were completely just running 300 watts the entire time, is about 12 and a half total hours. All right, so we're kind of evened out right now. 60 degrees on the bed, 140 on the nozzle. And if we take a look at the power supply, currently drawing anywhere from 70 to 150 watts at any given point, which really brings up our total usage time here. When it's printing, we should see somewhere around 150 to 200 watts, I would assume, but every printer is different. I've never actually tried this on the CC2, so we could end up getting a lot of usage out of a single charge with this one. And this is also something you could probably show to your significant other when they're wondering how much extra electricity you're going to use. Really not a whole lot. I mean, 2 LED light strips going to run you about 100, 120 watts. Your refrigerator's probably anywhere from 600 to 800 watts. Standard microwave is 11 or 1200 watts. And you can see here, although it's only doing bed leveling right now, it is moving the motors and it is maintaining heat on the nozzle and the bed. And we're currently drawing 31, 137, 21 watts. It's fluctuating back and forth depending on what it's doing, but it does kind of even itself out around that 100 to 150 watt point. So they really don't draw that much electricity. Now, if you have a full farm of them, you're going to be multiplying this times however many printers you have, but even still, you're making up for that with the cost of the products. All right, print is just started. Currently at 210 on the nozzle and 60 on the bed. And you can kind of see where it's fluctuating. Right around that 150 down to 50, kind of back up, and it just kind of keeps doing that. So again, right around that 150, 100 watts is about average for where this is going to be sitting. Probably closer to 100 watt average if you take into account where it's dropping down to now. So at this rate, we could run it for about 27 hours, 26 hours, something like that, which means for a 5-6 hour job, we could probably get 4 of them done off of one single charge. And that's assuming we never plug back into the wall to replenish the battery we're taking out, which in a normal situation you would. The only time personally I would leave this not plugged into the wall is if I'm doing a video like this where it's easier to have it away from the wall and to have the printer somewhere like this, Or again, if the power goes out and you're out for a couple days, maybe you need to run a print job for a sale or something like that. That's where something like this can come in handy. And of course, we've also got 1,000 watts of solar input that we'll take a look at in a little bit after we're done with this print to see how long it's going to take to recharge. I don't think this is going to be depleted more than 75% by the time this job is complete, so it shouldn't be too long. But we do also have to take into consideration the filament swaps, so it is going to jump up to that 200 watts. So we'll see. Because this is a multicolor print and there's quite a few changes, we could see it around 70-75%. Anyway, I'm going to let this finish printing. 6 hours, we'll check back in and see what our percentage is at. Just under 50% complete. We're at about 45%, and we've lost about 13% of our battery. Now, this is a multicolor print with a lot of filament swaps, which is understandable because this has to keep swapping filament. It has to heat up the nozzle, which uses a little bit more power. If this was a single color print, or it had very few color changes on the first couple of layers, we'd probably be sitting closer to 90 or 95%. So I think we're gonna end up around 70% when this print is all said and done, but we will find out when it is complete. All right, one successful print later. It took 7 hours and 26 total minutes for this to finish printing, and we are at 58%. Now, I should caveat this by saying it has been about 12 hours since the print finished. So I let it finish overnight, and we've ended up about 58%. I don't know exactly where it stopped at. I'm going to assume somewhere around 65% based off of how many hours it took for it to complete. And obviously it's still going to draw a little bit of power over the 6 or 7 hours that I was sleeping. So that is where we ended up. We are going to put this on the solar chargers now and see how long it takes to recharge from about 58 or 60%. Setting up the solar panels is super easy. For this one, I decided to use the hinges that they include with the solar panel kit. Basically, every hinge goes on the opposite way. So you have one on the front, one on the back, which lets you have this accordion style setup. And then we take the 15-foot or 5-meter power cable and plug it into the last solar panel, and we can run that over to our Jackery power station. So we're sitting at 56% right now with 0 watts of input. As soon as we plug it in, we can see on the screen there, we're bringing in about 320 total watts from this 500 watt solar panel. And it says it should take about 7.9 hours, which is about what we have left in sunlight for the day. Although as the sun moves from east to west, we probably will lose some of that solar charging. So we'll see how it looks at the end of the day or when it stops charging because there's no more sunlight. But for right now, we've got about 8 hours left. Again, bringing in 320 watts from the single 500 watt solar array. If we had had both of the sets set up, we'd be bringing in about 750 total watts of power. But I think for the purposes of this video and to show what it's capable of, one set of solar panels should suffice. All right, it has been about 4.5 hours since we started charging this. We started out at 56%. We're now at 73%, but as you can see, we are only drawing about 80 watts of input right now, and that is because there is a lot of cloud cover. At one point, it did get up to about 350, 360 watts when it was really sunny out as it moved over the top of our panels there. But now we are starting to see quite a bit of time remaining. Even if we had 2 sets of panels plugged in, we'd still be looking at about 15 to 20 hours to recharge, and that's just the nature of solar. There's no sunlight or direct sunlight, you get very little juice. But we'll see how long it lasts. All right, it is about 5:30 p.m. This has been charging for about 6 hours. We were getting diminishing return, about 40 watts at this point as the sun is setting, so I decided to call it here. But we did gain about 20% battery just by charging with one solar array. If we had had 2 of those 500 watt solar arrays hooked up, we probably would have gained about 40% back, which would have put us at around 95%. So lesson learned there, just use both of them, but we did get about 20% free power. That's a wrap on this one. Thank you to Jackery for sponsoring today's video. If you have any questions about the Explorer 5000 Plus or any of their other power stations, I will leave a link down in the description below to their website. Or you can leave them down in the comments below and I'll do my best to answer them for you. If you're interested in watching another video on the channel, I've got it queued up for you right over here. If you enjoyed today's video or want to see more videos on 3D printing and the 3D print farm, be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on the next upload. I will see you all on the next one. Take care.